In your new podcast, Sounds Delicious,
Mhm.
do you have a theme for the day? Do you think about it before it airs to do your research? How does that come about? Huh? What is your thought process?
So we just did one, and the I like to talk about pop culture news. So it will start with a series of food and pop culture. For example, I love social media trends and food. Like there's a Twitter dust up between Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist, who's very, very famous. It is fighting with the Twitter account Steakum, which is like a random, cheese steak, frozen steak brand. That kind of stuff fascinates me. So we talk about that. We talk about like Dolly Parton has a line of ice cream that's like blowing up and you can't get it. I had to pre-order it and I can't get it till August. So stuff like that really, really fascinates me. But the interview I have is with the food editor of the Washingtonian magazine, because in light of and how I keep it with national news and world news, of course, we'll cover everything, but Diet Coke and Coke became, we're Atlanta based, came into the pop news sphere because of these voting laws, and people were suddenly boycotting Coke. But this article that Jessica Sidman wrote from the Washingtonian was all about when you were a server at the Trump Hotel at the restaurant, it was like a 7-step process to serve him a Diet Coke. It's absolutely fascinating, chef. Like the whole staff had a piece of paper on like how they had to have 2 chilled glasses, how they had to have those little bottles, how it was like a whole thing. Like he loved Diet Coke. And then, so we tie it into that, and then just talk about like what it was like being a server in that restaurant, and then just talking about the DC dining scene from administration to administration, how like Trump only ate in that hotel, right? He only went there. But like other administrations, like, the Obamas were known for going to restaurants all over town, and you got a big bump when he would show up somewhere. So we talk a lot about that and how like restaurants in DC make like, politically themed drinks, and how the insurrection really affected the local restaurant, the pandemic, of course, how they really dealt with everything shutting down. They rely so much on tourism in DC, and so it's a big shift. So that's a big part of what we'll be talking about on Sounds Delicious. As far as like there is a food angle to all of that.
I've heard, I lived in DC, but I've also heard that the Republican administration usually drinks less than the Democrat.
That's not the impression that I got from this interview at all. This is what I found so fascinating, is that her take on it was the people that worked at the Trump Hotel said it was the best job that they ever had, that people were really good to them, that they tipped well, that big meetings were held there, that it, for some of them that didn't affiliate with being a Trump supporter, they had to kind of suck it up and not tell the truth about it. But they'll say it was a great job because there was a consistent flow of customers, and people were there and they were excited and they were just ready to drop out. And you recognize that, it's a lobby bar. So you're paying like $25 for a martini. So if you're a server there, and someone's like, you're a big lobbyist fat cat coming in town, your expense account, you're doing great. So I think their experiences there were pretty great. So it was kind of fun to shine a light on that. And also like they had to have like this special shrimp there when the president arrived. And like they knew that the president was coming in when they had to get the shrimp. And Jessica talked about one instance on how like they didn't have it. And this is what I love about the restaurant business. The chef had to like call another one of his chef friends, and say like, I don't have the shrimp, can I get the shrimp? So he had to run across town, get the shrimp. And I remarked to Jessica, I was like, you know, that chef probably went through all that shit and he probably didn't even eat it. Right?
That's true. The
Yep.
moment you go out for it, they decline it or it doesn't happen.
Right. So so I think that's like really the crux of what the podcast is going to be. I mean, obviously it's new, so it's still evolving, but you know, I think there's I gravitate towards food because it's like how everybody can come together, how it's communal. And I think that's one thing that we've really lost in the pandemic is, you know, dining out is breaking bread, it's having conversations, and that's what we've all been really missing for a year plus. And you know, food is just universal. So you know, and then I just find it funny, like what's a food, the different food trends, like, you know, chili crisp is like, that's what everybody's cooking with now, or like gluten-free, fat-free, you know, it's just, I love how the food trends are changing. And that's something we talked about too, about how takeout, I think, is here to stay, even post-pandemic. I think restaurants will adapt to that because I think people really like it.